All right, before we even get into this, I need to warn you. This story, it's heavy. It deals with boundaries being crossed, betrayal, and me doing something so messed up that I still can't believe it actually happened. Like I'm talking life-altering, can't take it back kind of stuff. So if that's not something you're ready for right now, I totally get it. But if you're staying, buckle up. Because this is about to get real. So let me paint you a picture of my life before everything went to hell. I'm May. I'm 44 years old, and honestly, I feel ancient most days. I'm a stay-at-home wife, which sounds fancy, but really it just means I'm home alone. A lot. My son Julian just turned 21. He's in college doing his thing, and I'm so proud of him, you know. He's got his whole life ahead of him. But me? I feel like mine already happened and I somehow missed the good parts. My husband Christopher, Chris, he's always traveling for work, and I mean always. He's gone more than he's home. At first, years ago, I used to miss him. I'd count down the days until he came back. I'd plan these nice dinners, get myself all dolled up, spray on that perfume he used to love. But somewhere along the way, I stopped. He stopped noticing. Or maybe I stopped trying. I don't even know anymore. These days, our marriage is... I don't know how to describe it. Cold? Distant? We're like roommates who occasionally share a bed when he's actually in town. There's no spark, no fire. Hell, there's not even a flicker. We just exist next to each other. And honestly, I've made peace with that. Or at least, I thought I had. Most nights, I'm on that same damn couch. You know the one, every house has it, that spot where the cushion has molded perfectly to your ass because you've sat there so many times. I'm usually crocheting until my fingers hurt, some trashy reality show playing in the background just to fill the silence, because let me tell you, the silence in an empty house, it's loud as hell. It screams at you, reminds you how alone you really are. I've stopped caring about a lot of things. I used to be that woman, you know? The one who'd never leave the house without makeup, who'd spend an hour getting ready just to go to the grocery store. But now, I'm lucky if I brush my hair into something that doesn't look like a bird's nest. I live in oversized t-shirts and leggings. Comfortable, invisible, safe. I know what I look like. I'm not stupid. I'm 44 with a body that shows every single year. I've got stretch marks, saggy skin, extra weight in all the wrong places. My stomach isn't flat. My thighs touch, my arms jiggle. I'm the definition of letting yourself go. And you know what? I genuinely didn't care. Because who was looking anyway? Not Chris. He barely glances at me anymore. So yeah, that's my life. Boring, predictable, lonely as hell. But it was mine, and I was content with it. Or so I thought. That's where Ethan comes in. Ethan. God, where do I even start with him? Ethan is my son's best friend, and I don't mean like a friend he met last year. I mean his best friend since they were kids. Like, I have pictures of these two at 7 years old covered in mud in our backyard. I've watched this boy grow up. His parents are our friends. We do dinners together, vacations together, all that family stuff. Ethan is practically my second son. He's 21 now. Same age as Julian. They're both in college, both doing well. And Ethan? He's always been around. I mean, this kid has spent more time in my house than his own. I swear to God. He raids my fridge like he pays the mortgage, walks in the front door without knocking. Hell, I've seen him in his boxers more times than I can count, just strolling through my kitchen at 7 in the morning like he owns the place. And for years, I never thought twice about it. He was just Ethan, Julian's goofy friend, the kid who'd help me bring in groceries without being asked, who'd stick around after dinner to help clean up, who'd fix things around the house when something broke and Chris wasn't around to do it, which, let's be real, was always. But something changed recently, and I don't know if it was me or him or just timing, but I started noticing Ethan differently. He's grown into himself, you know what I mean? He's not that scrawny teenager anymore. He's filled out, broad shoulders, muscles from hitting the gym religiously. He's got this messy dark hair that always looks like he just rolled out of bed. And honestly, it works for him. He's objectively attractive, like, I'm not blind. I can see that. But more than that, it's the way he carries himself now. There's this confidence, this ease, like he knows exactly what he's doing and exactly what effect he has on people. He's charming in a way that feels natural, not forced. And lately, I swear, the way he talks to me has changed. Little comments here and there, compliments that feel like they mean more than they should. You look nice today, Mrs. M. Is that a new perfume? Smells good on you. Offering to make me a drink late at night when Julian's already passed out upstairs. And the looks. Oh God, the looks. I've caught him staring, more than once. His eyes would drag over me in a way that made my skin heat up, and I'd tell myself I was imagining it, because there's no way, no possible way that a 21-year-old guy who looks like that would look at me, a middle-aged, out-of-shape, invisible housewife like that, right? But I couldn't shake the feeling. This weird tension that would fill the room whenever it was just the two of us, and I'd catch myself thinking about him in ways I definitely shouldn't, wondering what was going through his head, if he really was looking at me that way or if I was just some lonely, desperate woman projecting. I tried to push it down, tried to ignore it, because acknowledging it felt dangerous. It felt like opening a door I had no business opening, but you know what they say about forbidden things, right? The more you try not to think about them, the more they consume you. And Ethan? He was starting to consume me. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't want this. I didn't go looking for it. I was perfectly fine living my boring, lonely little life. But sometimes life has other plans. Sometimes temptation walks right through your front door, sits on your couch, and looks at you like you're the only person in the world. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah. That's where my story starts. With me, a woman who thought her life was already written, who thought she was past all this, who thought she was safe. Turns out, I wasn't safe at all. So, it all went down this past Saturday night. Christopher was in Seattle for some conference. He'd be gone all week. Julian and Ethan had been out all day doing their usual thing. Gym, hanging with friends, whatever college guys do. I'd made dinner for them earlier, nothing fancy, just pasta and garlic bread. They inhaled it like they hadn't eaten in days and then disappeared upstairs to Julian's room. By 10 o'clock, I was in my spot. You know, the couch. I had on what I always wear around the house, an old oversized t-shirt that used to be Chris's and a pair of cotton shorts. My hair was thrown up in a messy bun that I hadn't touched since morning. No makeup, no effort, just existing. I was scrolling through my phone, not really paying attention to the TV, when I heard footsteps on the stairs. "Mom, I'm wiped," Julian said, walking into the living room looking absolutely exhausted. His eyes were half closed already. "Ethan worked me to death at the gym today." I smiled. "You heading to bed?" "Yeah. Ethan wanted to stay up and hang out, but I'm done." He came over and kissed the top of my head, something he still does that makes my heart warm. "Night, Ma." "Night, baby." And just like that, he was gone. Footsteps fading as he headed back upstairs to his room. That's when Ethan appeared in the doorway. He was in gym clothes, a fitted black t-shirt that clung to every muscle and gray joggers that hung low on his hips. His hair was damp like he'd just showered, and when he walked in, that familiar scent of his body wash hit me. Something clean and masculine that I'd smelled 1,000 times but somehow felt different tonight. "Guess it's just us," he said with that easy smile of his. "Mind if I hang out for a bit? I'm not tired yet." I should have said no, should have told him I was about to head to bed too, but instead I heard myself say, "Sure, make yourself comfortable." He didn't go to the recliner like he usually did. No. Ethan came straight to the couch and sat down next to me, not super close, but closer than necessary, close enough that I could feel the heat coming off his body. My stomach did this weird flip. "You want something to drink?" he asked, already standing back up. "I've been getting into mixing cocktails lately. I could make us something." I laughed. "You? Mixing drinks? Since when?" "Since I became the bartender at every party we go to," he said with a grin. "Come on, let me show off a little. I make a mean whiskey sour." "All right, fine." "Impress me." He disappeared into the kitchen and I sat there, my heart beating just a little faster than it should. I told myself to relax. This was Ethan. Just Ethan. Nothing weird about two people having a drink and watching TV, but when he came back and handed me a glass, our fingers brushed, and I swear to God, it felt like electricity shot up my arm. His eyes met mine for just a second longer than normal, and there was something there. Something I couldn't quite name. "Cheers," he said, clinking his glass against mine before taking a sip. I tasted it. "Okay, I'm impressed. This is actually really good." "Told you." He settled back into the couch, arm draped casually along the back of it, so close to my shoulders but not quite touching. We started talking, nothing deep at first, just small talk about his classes. Some party they went to last weekend, the usual stuff. But then he started asking about me, about what I'd been up to, what I did all day, and here's the thing, nobody asks me that. Chris sure as hell doesn't. Julian doesn't think to. But Ethan sat there, genuinely listening like my boring day actually mattered to him. "You ever get lonely?" he asked out of nowhere, his voice softer. "With Mr. M gone all the time and Julian busy with school?" The question caught me off guard. I took a sip of my drink to buy time. "Sometimes, yeah. But I'm used to it." "You shouldn't have to be used to it," he said, and the way he looked at me made my breath catch, like he actually gave a damn. I laughed it off, trying to lighten the mood. "Well, that's life, right? Can't always get what we want? Maybe you just haven't asked for what you want." My eyes snapped to his. What was he saying? Before I could respond, he shifted slightly closer. "You look good tonight, by the way." I actually laughed, like, out loud. "Ethan, I look like a mess." "Nah." His gaze traveled down slowly, deliberately, before coming back to my face. "You look comfortable, real. I like that about you." My cheeks burned. "You need to stop." "Stop what?" "Whatever this is." I gestured vaguely between us. "You're being, I don't know, different." "Different how?" He wasn't backing down. If anything, he leaned in slightly. "You know how," I said quietly, my heart hammering now. "Ethan, you're my son's best friend. You're 21. I'm 44, I know." He said it so casually, like the age gap meant nothing. "What's your point?" "My point is this." I gestured again, flustered now. "Whatever you think you're doing, it can't what?" His voice dropped lower. "Can't be real? Can't mean anything?" I stared at him, completely thrown. Because the way he was looking at me right now, there was no mistaking it. This wasn't friendly. This wasn't innocent. This was intentional. "I see you, Mrs. M," he said softly, his eyes locked on mine. "I've been seeing you. For a while now." My mouth went dry. "Ethan, I know it's messed up. Trust me, I know." He ran a hand through his hair, a flash of vulnerability crossing his face. "But I can't help it. I can't help noticing you, thinking about you." I should have shut it down right there, should have laughed it off, told him he was being ridiculous, sent him home. But I didn't. Because for the first time in years, maybe a decade, someone was looking at me like I mattered, like I was desirable, like I was more than just the invisible woman on the couch. And God help me, it felt incredible. "This can't happen," I whispered, but even as I said it, I didn't move away. "Then tell me to leave." His eyes searched mine. "Tell me you don't feel this too, and I'll go. I'll never bring it up again." My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. Every logical part of my brain was screaming at me to end this, to be the adult, to do the right thing, but the words wouldn't come, because the truth was, I did feel it. I'd been feeling it for weeks and pretending I wasn't, and sitting here with him this close, looking at me like that, I was terrified, not of him, of myself. Of what I might do if he didn't leave. The silence between us was suffocating. Ethan was still waiting for an answer I couldn't give him. His eyes hadn't left mine, and I could see he wasn't going to let this go. He wasn't going to pretend this moment away. "Ethan," I finally managed, my voice shaking. Even if there was something, this is wrong on so many levels. Why? He shifted even closer, and now his knee was definitely touching mine. Because of our age? Because of Julian? Yes, all of that. I put my drink down on the coffee table with a shaky hand. You're 21. I'm old enough to be your mother. I am your best friend's mother. I'm married. Do you not see how insane this is? I see all of it. His hand moved to rest on the couch behind me, not quite touching but close enough that I could feel it there. And I still can't stop thinking about you. My breath hitched. You need to stop saying things like that. Why? You want me to lie? I want you to... I didn't even know what I wanted. My head was spinning. Look at me, he said softly, and when I did, his expression had shifted. Less cocky, more vulnerable. I'm not some kid with a crush, Mrs. M. I know what I'm feeling. I've known for a long time. How long? The question slipped out before I could stop it. A small smile tugged at his lips. You remember that 4th of July party, 2 summers ago? You were wearing that sundress, the blue one. You were laughing at something Julian's dad said, and the sun was hitting your face just right. He paused, his voice dropping. That's when I knew. That's when I stopped seeing you as just Julian's mom and started seeing you as... you. My heart was doing somersaults. 2 years. He'd been feeling this for 2 years? Ethan, that doesn't make this okay. I know it doesn't. He cut me off gently. But I'm done pretending. I'm done acting like I don't notice every time you walk into a room, like I don't find excuses to come over here just to see you, like I don't think about what it would be like to... Don't. I held up my hand, panic rising. Don't finish that sentence. Why not? His hand finally made contact, fingers barely grazing my shoulder. You scared of what I'm gonna say? Or scared that you want to hear it? I closed my eyes. Both. When I opened them again, he was even closer. So close I could count the flecks of gold in his green eyes. So close I could feel his breath on my face. Tell me you don't want this, he whispered. Tell me you don't think about it too. About me. About us. I should have said it, should have shut him down completely. But the words died in my throat because he was right. I had been thinking about it. About him. In ways that made me feel guilty and alive at the same time. I'm married, I said weakly, my last line of defense. You're lonely, he countered. When's the last time he made you feel anything? When's the last time he really looked at you? That hit hard, harder than it should have, because he was right. Christopher hadn't really looked at me, really seen me, in years. That doesn't give me the right to... To what? To feel something? To want something for yourself? His thumb was now tracing small circles on my shoulder, and it was sending shivers down my spine. You deserve to feel wanted, Mrs. M. You deserve to feel beautiful. I'm not beautiful, I said automatically, all my insecurities rushing to the surface. I'm past all that. That's bullshit. His other hand came up to cup my face, forcing me to look at him. You have no idea how gorgeous you are, how crazy you drive me. Ethan, let me show you, he murmured, his lips now hovering inches from mine. Just once. Let me show you how you should be treated. Every alarm bell in my head was going off. Every rational thought was screaming at me to stop this, to push him away, to be the adult. But God, I hadn't felt this alive in so long, hadn't felt desired, wanted, seen. And the way he was looking at me like I was the only thing that mattered in the world, I was drowning in it. One kiss, I heard myself whisper, just one. And then we never talk about this again. I don't even know if I believed it when I said it, but it was enough permission for Ethan. He closed the distance between us and pressed his lips to mine, and just like that, everything changed. The kiss started soft, almost tentative, like he was giving me a chance to pull away. But when I didn't, when I actually leaned into it, something shifted. His hand slid from my face to the back of my neck, fingers tangling in my hair as he deepened the kiss. And oh my God, I couldn't remember the last time Christopher kissed me like this, with want, with hunger, with the kind of passion that made my toes curl and my brain shut off completely. Ethan kissed like he meant it, like he'd been thinking about this moment for years and wasn't going to waste a single second. His tongue swept across my bottom lip and I opened for him without thinking, a small sound escaping my throat that would have embarrassed me if I'd been capable of rational thought. But I wasn't. I was lost. His other arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer until I was practically in his lap. My hands found his chest, feeling the hard muscle beneath his shirt, and I should have pushed him away, but instead I grabbed fistfuls of fabric and held on. The kiss went on, getting messier, more desperate. His hand tightened in my hair. My nails dug into his chest. We were both breathing hard, both making small noises that filled the quiet living room. When we finally broke apart, we were both panting. His forehead rested against mine, his eyes still closed. "Fuck," he breathed. "That was a mistake," I finished. But my voice had no conviction, not when I was still gripping his shirt, not when every nerve ending in my body was on fire. That wasn't a mistake. His eyes opened, locking onto mine. That was the most right thing I've felt in a long time. "Ethan, we can't." "We just did." His thumb stroked my cheek. "And you can't tell me you didn't feel that you didn't want it just as much as I did." He was right. I had wanted it. I still wanted it. Wanted him to kiss me again. Wanted to forget about everything else and just feel this. But reality was creeping back in. The weight of what we'd just done was settling on my chest like a stone. "Oh God." I pulled back, panic flooding through me. "Oh God. What did we just do?" Hey. He tried to pull me back, but I stood up, putting distance between us. "This is so bad. This is so bad." I was pacing now, my hand over my mouth. "Julian is upstairs, right upstairs, and we just—" "Julian's asleep," Ethan said calmly, standing too. "He's passed out. He won't know." "But I know," my voice cracked. "I know what I just did. What we just did. I'm married. You're his best friend. You're 21 years old and I'm—" "Stop." He crossed the distance between us in 2 steps, taking my face in both hands. "Stop tearing yourself apart. It was a kiss, that's all. That wasn't just a kiss." Tears were pricking at my eyes now. That changed everything." His expression softened. "I know." "So what now?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "What the hell happens now?" "Nothing has to happen." His thumbs wiped away tears I hadn't realized had fallen. "We can pretend this never happened. I'll go upstairs, crash in Julian's room, and tomorrow everything goes back to normal, if that's what you want." "Is that what you want?" "No." He didn't hesitate. "I want to kiss you again. I want to keep kissing you. I want to show you everything you've been missing." My stomach dropped and heat flooded through me at his words. "But," he continued, "I'm not going to push you. This has to be your choice." I stood there, trapped between his hands, my heart hammering against my ribs. Every logical part of me knew what the right choice was, knew I should send him away and never let this happen again. But the part of me that had felt dead for so long, the part that had just come roaring back to life with that kiss, that part was screaming for more. "I can't think straight when you're this close," I admitted. A slow smile spread across his face. "Good." And before I could talk myself out of it, I pulled him down and kissed him again. That first night, after we finally pulled ourselves apart, Ethan went upstairs like nothing had happened. I stayed on that couch until almost 3 in the morning, my lips still tingling, my mind racing. What had I done? But more importantly, why did I want to do it again? The next morning was Sunday. I got up early, made breakfast, and acted completely normal when the boys came down. Ethan smiled at me like always, called me Mrs. M like always, and helped clean up after breakfast like always. If Julian noticed anything different, he didn't say. And why would he? In his mind, nothing had changed, but everything had changed. For the next week, I told myself it was a one-time thing, a moment of weakness, something that would never happen again. Except Ethan kept coming around, and every time he did, the air between us was charged with something electric. Tuesday night, Julian went to bed early again, had an exam the next morning, and Ethan stayed up, sitting on that same couch, and we talked. Just talked. About everything, about nothing. He told me about his classes, his dreams of starting his own business someday, asked me about my life before kids, before marriage, things Christopher had never bothered to ask, and I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't in years, talking about the art degree I never finished, the pottery studio I'd always dreamed of opening, all the little pieces of myself I'd buried to be a wife and mother. "You should do it," Ethan said at one point. "The pottery thing. Why not?" I laughed. "I'm 44. That ship has sailed." "That's bullshit." "You're not dead, Mrs. M. You're just stuck." The way he looked at me when he said it made my chest ache, like he really saw me, the real me, not just the role I played. When he left that night, he squeezed my hand, just for a second, but it was enough to keep me awake for hours. Thursday, he came over for dinner. I'd made his favorite, chicken parmesan. When he thanked me, his hand lingered on my lower back, so brief that if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss it. But I was paying attention. God, was I paying attention. Every touch, every glance, every loaded word was building something between us, something dangerous and intoxicating. Friday night, Julian went out with some friends, had plans to crash at someone's apartment after, which meant it was just me and Ethan. We both knew it. The tension when he walked through that door was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Julian's not coming home tonight," I said, my voice shaky as I stood in the kitchen. "I know." Ethan leaned against the counter, his eyes dark and intense. "I can leave if you want." "Do you want to leave?" Not even a little bit. My heart was pounding. "We shouldn't do this." "Probably not." He pushed off the counter, walking toward me slowly. "But I think we're gonna anyway." He was right. Because the moment he was close enough, I reached for him, and this time when we kissed, it was different, hungrier, more desperate. His hands were everywhere, in my hair, on my waist, sliding up my back. Mine were tangled in his shirt, pulling him closer, needing him closer. "Upstairs," I gasped between kisses. "Not here. Not in the kitchen." We barely made it to my bedroom, the room I shared with Christopher, and for a split second, guilt tried to crash over me. But then Ethan was kissing me again, backing me toward the bed, and the guilt got drowned out by want, by need, by the simple, overwhelming desire to feel wanted for once in my damn life. We didn't go all the way that night, but we went far enough. Far enough that there was no pretending anymore, no lying to myself that this was innocent. We'd crossed a line. And God help me, I wanted to cross it again. It was the following Wednesday when we went there, all the way. Christopher was in New York, Julian had a night class, and Ethan showed up at my door with takeout and that smile that made my knees weak. "Figured you shouldn't eat alone," he said. We both knew why he was really there. We ate dinner, made small talk, pretended we weren't both thinking about what was going to happen after. But the tension was unbearable. Every glance, every accidental brush of hands as we passed the soy sauce. It was all foreplay, and we both knew it. When we finished eating, I started cleaning up, needed something to do with my hands. Ethan came up behind me at the sink, his chest against my back, and wrapped his arms around my waist. "Leave it," he murmured into my ear. "Come upstairs with me." Ethan. But even as I said his name, I was leaning back into him. "Tell me you don't want this." His lips brushed against my neck. "Tell me you don't think about it every time I leave, because I do. I think about you constantly." I turned in his arms, looking up at him. "If we do this, there's no going back." "I know." His hand cupped my face. "Do you want to go back?" No, I didn't. I didn't want to go back to my lonely couch and my empty bed and my non-existent marriage. I wanted to feel alive. I wanted to feel desired. I wanted him. "No," I whispered. That was all he needed. We went upstairs, to my bedroom, and this time, there was no stopping, no pulling back. We crossed every single line that night, and when it was over, when we were both lying there catching our breath, the reality of what we'd done hit me like a freight train. "Oh my God," I breathed, staring at the ceiling. "Oh my God, we really did that." Ethan rolled onto his side, propping himself up on his elbow. "Hey, look at me." I did, tears already forming. "We're okay," he said softly. "This is okay." "How is this okay?" My voice cracked. "I just cheated on my husband, with my son's best friend. In the bed I share with my husband. Your husband who hasn't touched you in months, who barely looks at you, who leaves you alone all the time." His jaw tightened. "Don't do this. Don't tear yourself apart for wanting something for yourself. It's still wrong." "Maybe." He brushed hair out of my face, but it felt pretty damn right to me. It had felt right. That was the worst part. Being with Ethan felt more right than anything in my marriage had felt in years. "What now?" I asked. "Now?" He smiled. "Now we figure it out. Together." But there was no figuring it out, because what we'd done couldn't be undone. I'd betrayed Christopher. I'd betrayed Julian. I'd betrayed everything I thought I was, and yet lying there with Ethan, I couldn't bring myself to regret it. Not completely, because for the first time in forever, I felt something other than empty. After that night, everything changed. We developed a routine, a secret, terrible, exhilarating routine, whenever Julian was out, whenever Christopher was traveling, which was often. Ethan would come over, sometimes it was planned. A text from him, "Julian's staying at Mike's tonight," and my heart would race because I knew what that meant. Other times it was spontaneous. He'd show up at my door with some excuse about needing to grab something from Julian's room, and then, somehow, we'd end up tangled together in my bed, or on the couch, or once, pressed against the kitchen counter because we couldn't even make it upstairs. It was reckless, stupid, dangerous, and I couldn't stop. Every time I told myself it was the last time, that I'd end it, that I'd be strong enough to walk away. But then he'd look at me with those eyes, or touch me in that way that made my whole body light up, or whisper something that made me feel like the most desirable woman in the world, and I'd cave, every single time. The guilt was constant, a heavy weight I carried around every day. I'd look at Julian across the dinner table and want to cry. I'd talk to Christopher on the phone and feel like the worst person alive. But then Ethan would show up, and all of that would fade into the background. He made me feel things I'd forgotten I could feel, made me laugh, made me feel beautiful and wanted and alive, and I became addicted to it, to him. We got bolder, too, more confident that we wouldn't get caught. Once Ethan stayed over while Julian was home. Julian fell asleep early, and Ethan snuck into my room after midnight. We had to be completely silent, and the risk of it, the absolute insanity of it, made it even more intense. Another time, we almost got caught. Christopher came home a day early from a trip. I'd been with Ethan in my bedroom and heard the garage door open. We both froze, panic flooding through us. Ethan had to climb out my bedroom window onto the roof and wait there while I went downstairs to greet Christopher like nothing was wrong, like I hadn't just been in bed with another man. When Christopher went to take a shower, Ethan climbed back in, got dressed in record time, and snuck out the front door. My heart didn't stop racing for hours. That should have been the wake-up call. The moment I realized how insane this had gotten, how much I was risking, but it wasn't. Because even after that close call, the next time Ethan texted me, I said yes. I always said yes. The double life was exhausting. During the day, I was mom, wife, the responsible adult, making meals, doing laundry, keeping the house running. But at night, when Ethan was there, I became someone else entirely. Someone I didn't recognize but couldn't get enough of. Ethan was getting more confident too, more possessive. He'd leave marks on my skin where Christopher wouldn't see, would send me texts during the day that made me blush, would look at me across the dinner table with Julian right there, and I'd know exactly what he was thinking. It was a game we were playing, A dangerous, thrilling, absolutely reckless game. And I knew that eventually we'd get caught, that this couldn't last forever, that something would give, but I couldn't stop, didn't want to stop, because Ethan had become my drug, my escape. The thing that made my boring, lonely life bearable, and I was in way too deep to find my way back out. Look, this story is getting insane, I know. If you're hooked and you're sticking with me, do me a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It lets me know you're here, and trust me, you are not going to want to miss what happens next. It all came crashing down on a Tuesday night in November. Christopher was supposed to be in Chicago until Friday. Julian had mentioned he was going to some study group that usually ran late. It was supposed to be safe. We were supposed to have hours. Ethan had been at the house since dinner. We'd watched a movie, barely paying attention to the screen, the tension between us building with every passing minute. By the time the credits rolled, we couldn't keep our hands off each other anymore. We went upstairs to my bedroom. The door was closed but not locked. I never locked it because that would be suspicious, right? Who locks their bedroom door when they're home alone? We were completely lost in each other, in that moment where nothing else existed, where all the guilt and fear melted away and it was just us. That's when I heard it. The front door opening downstairs. We both froze. Ethan's eyes went wide, meeting mine in pure terror. "Mom?" Julian's voice echoed up the stairs. "You home?" My blood turned to ice. "Oh my God," I whispered, panic exploding through my chest. "Oh my God, oh my God." "Shit," Ethan breathed, already scrambling off the bed. He was grabbing his clothes, moving in fast, jerky motions. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get myself together. My mind was racing, spiraling. How long until Julian came upstairs? What would I say? How would I explain why Ethan was in my bedroom? "Mrs. M," Julian's voice was closer now, on the stairs. "Is Ethan here? His car's outside." My heart stopped. "Say something," Ethan hissed, pulling his shirt on inside out. My voice came out strangled. I cleared my throat and called out, trying to sound normal. "Yeah, honey, I'm in my room. Give me a second." "Where's Ethan?" Oh God, what do I say? I looked at Ethan desperately. He was pointing to my bathroom, mouthing words I couldn't process. "He went to the bathroom," I finally called out. "Downstairs. Check the downstairs bathroom." "Please let that buy us time. Please, please, please." I heard Julian's footsteps pause, then head back downstairs. "Bro, you in here?" Ethan was fully dressed now, running his hands through his hair, trying to fix it. I was still shaking, my whole body trembling as I pulled myself together. "You gotta go down there," I whispered urgently. "You have to go down there right now and act normal." "What do I say? Why am I here?" "I don't know, make something up." My voice was getting high-pitched, panicky. "Just go." He grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at him. "Hey, breathe. We're okay. He doesn't know." "Ethan..." "We're okay," he repeated firmly. Then he kissed me, quick and hard. "I'll handle it." He slipped out of my bedroom and I heard his voice carrying down the stairs. "Yo, my bad man. I was actually upstairs looking for that hoodie I left here last week. Your mom said I could check your room." My legs gave out and I sat on the edge of my bed, my whole body shaking. That was too close. Way too close. I could hear them talking downstairs, Julian asking why Ethan's car was here, Ethan lying smoothly about stopping by to grab something before heading to a friend's place, Julian saying the study group got canceled. I pressed my hands over my face, trying to breathe, trying to calm down. We almost got caught. By Julian. My son almost walked in on me with his best friend. The reality of what could have happened, what almost happened, was crushing me. After a few minutes, I heard the front door close, Ethan leaving, then Julian's footsteps on the stairs. "Mom, you okay?" I stood up quickly, trying to compose myself. Yeah, I'm fine. Just have a headache." Julian appeared in my doorway, concern on his face. "You sure? You look kinda pale." "I'm fine, baby, just tired." I forced a smile. "Why'd you come home early?" "Study group fell through. Everyone bailed." He shrugged. You really okay? You're acting weird. I'm not acting weird, I said too quickly. I'm just, like I said, headache. I think I'm gonna go to bed early. Julian studied me for another second, and my heart was hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. But finally, he nodded. Okay, feel better, Mom. Love you. Love you too, baby. He left, closing the door behind him, and I collapsed onto my bed, my whole body shaking. That was it. That was the moment I couldn't ignore anymore. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands and texted Ethan, "We need to talk. Tomorrow." His response came immediately, "I know." The next day felt like torture. I couldn't eat, couldn't focus. Julian was home all day, which meant Ethan couldn't come over. But we texted back and forth, making plans to meet somewhere, anywhere but here. We decided on a coffee shop 2 towns over, somewhere nobody would recognize us. When I walked in and saw him sitting in the back corner, my stomach twisted. He looked tired, stressed, like he'd slept about as well as I had, which was not at all. I slid into the seat across from him, my hands wrapped around a cup of coffee I hadn't even tasted. "We can't do this anymore," I said immediately. No greeting, no small talk. Just the truth. Ethan's jaw tightened. Because of last night. Yes, because of last night. My voice came out harsher than I intended. I lowered it, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. "Ethan, we almost got caught. By Julian. Do you understand how bad that could have been? But we didn't get caught." "This time," I interrupted. "We didn't get caught this time, but what about next time? What about when we're not that lucky?" He leaned back in his chair, running his hands over his face. "So what, you just want to end it? Just like that?" "It's not just like that, and you know it." Tears were threatening, and I blinked them back. "Ethan, what we've been doing, it's insane. It's reckless. I'm risking my marriage, my relationship with my son, everything." "Your marriage that was already dead before I came into the picture," he shot back. "Mrs. M, you were miserable. You said it yourself. That doesn't make what we did okay." "Maybe not." His voice softened. "But it made you happy. I made you happy, didn't I?" He had. God, he had. For the first time in years, I'd felt alive, desired, like I mattered. But at what cost? "That doesn't matter," I said quietly. "Of course it matters." He leaned forward, reaching for my hand across the table. I pulled it back. "What we have is wrong," I finished. "It's wrong, Ethan, on every level. You're 21. I'm married. You're Julian's best friend. This was never going to end well." "So that's it? You're just done?" I looked at him, really looked at him. At this young, beautiful man who'd made me feel things I thought I'd never feel again, who'd been patient and attentive and made me laugh, and my heart broke. "I have to be," I whispered, "because if we keep doing this, we will get caught. And when we do, I'll lose everything. My son will hate me. My husband. God, I don't even know what Christopher would do. And you, Julian will never forgive you either. I don't care about that. But I do." My voice cracked. "I care about that. I care about my son, and I can't keep doing this to him. I can't keep lying to his face every single day." Ethan was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. "What about us? What about what we feel?" "What we feel doesn't matter." Even saying it hurt. "This has to end. Today. Right now." "Mrs. M. May," I said. "If this is ending, you can call me May." His eyes shimmered. "May, please don't do this." "I have to." I stood up, grabbing my purse. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it, for starting this, for letting it go on as long as it did, for everything." "You don't have to apologize," he said quietly. "I wanted this just as much as you did." "I know." A tear slipped down my cheek. "But it's still over." I turned to leave, and his voice stopped me. "If you change your mind, I'm here. I'll always be here." I didn't turn around. Couldn't. Because if I looked at him again, I'd lose my resolve. So I walked out of that coffee shop and didn't look back. The next few days were hell. I jumped every time my phone buzzed. avoided being home when I knew Ethan might stop by, made excuses when Julian asked why I seemed off. Christopher came home that Friday, and I tried. I really tried to be present, to engage, to be the wife I was supposed to be. But all I could think about was Ethan, about what we'd had, about what I'd given up. Christopher noticed I was distant but didn't push. He never pushed, just accepted my excuse of being tired and went about his business, and I realized something sitting there at dinner with him, something that made my chest ache. I didn't love Christopher anymore. Maybe I hadn't for a long time. We were just existing together, going through the motions of a marriage that had died years ago, but leaving him, starting over at 44? That was terrifying, so I did nothing. Just went back to my routine, my couch, my crocheting, my reality TV, back to being invisible. Ethan stopped coming around as much. When he did, he was polite, distant, called me Mrs. M like he used to. Barely looked at me, and it killed me. But it was the right thing to do. I kept telling myself that. This was the right thing, even if it felt like dying. 2 weeks after I ended things, I was alone in the house again. Christopher traveling, Julian at school, and my phone buzzed. Ethan, I miss you. My heart stopped. I stared at those 3 words for what felt like an eternity. I should delete it, block his number, protect myself from the temptation. But instead, my fingers moved across the screen. I miss you too. His response was immediate. Can I come over? This was it. The decision point. I could say no, could be strong, could stick to my guns and end this for good. Or I could say yes, could fall back into the same pattern, could risk everything all over again. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. What did I want? Really want? Did I want to be safe? To protect my family? To do the right thing? Or did I want to feel alive again, even if it was dangerous, even if it was wrong? I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and typed my response. I typed 3 letters that changed everything all over again. Yes. Within 20 minutes, Ethan was at my door, and the second I opened it, the second I saw his face, I knew I'd made a choice I couldn't take back. Again. We didn't even make it past the entryway before we were all over each other, desperate, hungry, like we'd been starving for 2 weeks, which honestly, we had been. I tried, I gasped between kisses. I tried to stay away. I know, he murmured against my neck. Me too. And just like that, we were right back where we started, maybe even deeper. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of living this double life, of being 2 completely different people, of carrying around a secret so heavy I'm surprised I can still stand up straight. I'm sitting here now, alone on my couch, my spot, and I'm trying to make sense of it all, trying to figure out how I became this person, this woman who lies to her son's face every single day, who sleeps with her husband's side of the bed cold and empty while texting another man. A man young enough to be my son. The affair, because let's call it what it is, has continued. Ethan and I are still whatever we are. We're careful now, more careful than before. That close call with Julian scared us both enough to be smarter about it. We have rules now. Never when Julian's home. Never in my bedroom again. Too risky. We meet other places. His apartment when his roommates are gone. A hotel once, which felt so sordid I almost couldn't go through with it. But I did. I always do. Because here's the truth that I'm finally admitting to myself. I'm addicted to him. To the way he makes me feel. To the attention, the desire, the validation. Ethan makes me feel like I matter, like I'm not just some invisible middle-aged woman whose best years are behind her. When I'm with him, I'm not Mom or Mrs. M or Christopher's wife. I'm just May, and I'd forgotten what that felt like. But the guilt? God, the guilt is eating me alive. Every single day I wake up and it's there, this heavy, suffocating weight on my chest that never goes away. I look at Julian across the breakfast table and I want to die, want to confess everything and beg for his forgiveness, even though I know I don't deserve it. He's my baby, my son, and I'm betraying him in the worst possible way, with his best friend, the guy he trusts more than anyone, the guy who's supposed to be like a brother to him. Sometimes I catch Julian talking about Ethan, about how solid their friendship is, how Ethan's the most loyal person he knows, and I have to excuse myself because I can't breathe, because I'm the one destroying that loyalty. I'm the poison. And Christopher. God, Christopher. He came home last week and actually tried. He brought me flowers, suggested we go out to dinner, just the two of us. And I said yes because what else could I do? We went to this nice Italian place downtown. He asked me about my day, told me about his work. We had wine, we talked. And the whole time, all I could think about was Ethan, about how Christopher never asks me the things Ethan asks, never really listens the way Ethan does, never looks at me the way Ethan looks at me. And I realized something that made me feel even worse. I've checked out of my marriage completely. I'm there in body, but that's it. My heart, my mind, my everything, it's somewhere else, with someone else. Christopher doesn't deserve this. He's not a bad man. He's just absent, distracted. We fell out of love somewhere along the way, and neither of us had the guts to admit it. But that doesn't give me the right to do what I'm doing. That doesn't make it okay. The worst part is how easy it's become to lie. At first, every lie felt like swallowing glass. Every time I had to look Julian in the eyes and pretend everything was normal, it physically hurt. But now? Now the lies roll off my tongue like nothing. Where were you this afternoon, Mom? Oh, just ran some errands, baby. Lie. I was with Ethan at his apartment. You seem happier lately, Mrs. M. Julian said to me last week with this big smile on his face. It's nice to see. And I smiled back, hugged him, told him I was just in a good mood. Another lie. I'm happier because I'm sleeping with his best friend. Because I'm getting the attention and affection I've been starving for. Because I'm being selfish and destructive and I can't seem to stop. The lies have become second nature. And that terrifies me. Because what does it say about me that I've gotten so good at deceiving the people I love? Ethan and I don't talk about the future. We can't, because there is no future for this. He's 21, I'm 44. Even if I left Christopher, which I don't even know if I want to do, what then? I date my son's best friend? We go public with this? Julian would never forgive me. Never. I'd lose my son. Maybe forever. And Ethan's parents. They're our friends. We vacation together, for God's sake. The fallout would be nuclear, so we exist in this bubble, this stolen moments kind of thing. Living for right now because thinking about tomorrow is too painful, but sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I let myself wonder, what if? What if I left Christopher? What if Ethan and I tried to make this real? Would it work? Could it work? Or would reality come crashing in? Would he realize I'm just some older woman he had an affair with? Would the age gap start to matter when we're not sneaking around anymore? Would I look at him in 5 years and see a 26-year-old in his prime while I'm pushing 50? And what about Julian? Would he ever speak to me again? Would I spend the rest of my life knowing I'd destroyed my relationship with my son for a man who might not even stick around? These thoughts haunt me. Circle around and around in my head until I can't think straight. There's no good ending here. No version of this story where everyone's okay. Someone's going to get hurt. Most likely everyone. Last week something happened that shook me. Ethan and I were at his apartment. His roommates were gone for the weekend. We were watching a movie, actually watching it this time, not just using it as background noise. And he turned to me and said, "I love you." Just like that. Casual. Like he was commenting on the weather. I froze. What? I love you, he repeated, this time looking right at me. I needed you to know that. This isn't just physical for me. It never was. My heart was pounding. Ethan, you don't have to say it back. He took my hand. I just needed to tell you, because it's true. I'm in love with you, May. I didn't know what to say, because part of me wanted to say it back. Part of me felt it too, this overwhelming thing that had grown between us that was bigger than just attraction or lust. But the other part of me was terrified, because if this was love, it made everything so much worse, so much more complicated. I care about you, I finally said. So much. You have no idea how much. But? He could hear it in my voice. But I don't know if that's enough. My voice cracked. I don't know if what we feel is enough to justify what we're doing. The people we're hurting. We're not hurting anyone if they don't know. That's not how it works. I pulled my hand away. Just because they don't know doesn't mean it's not happening, doesn't mean it's not wrong. We didn't talk much after that. The rest of the evening was tense, uncomfortable. When I left, Ethan kissed me goodbye like always. But something felt different, like maybe, for the first time, he was starting to see the impossibility of this too. Julian asked me a few days ago if I was okay. We were in the kitchen. I was making dinner and he was doing homework at the table. Just normal, everyday stuff. "You've been weird lately," he said, not looking up from his laptop. "Like, distracted. Is everything okay with you and Dad?" My hands stilled over the vegetables I was chopping. "We're fine, honey. Why?" "I don't know." He shrugged. "You just seem different. And Dad mentioned you guys weren't really talking much." Christopher had noticed. Of course he had. He might be absent, but he wasn't blind. "We're just in a bit of a rut," I said carefully. "It happens in marriages. Nothing for you to worry about." "You'd tell me if something was really wrong, though, right?" I turned to look at my son, my beautiful, trusting son who had no idea what kind of person his mother really was. "Of course I would, baby." Lie number God knows what. He seemed satisfied with that answer and went back to his homework. And I went back to chopping vegetables with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Because that's when it really hit me. What I'm doing to him. What I'm risking. Julian adores Ethan. They've been best friends since they were kids. They have years of history, inside jokes, shared memories, and I'm going to destroy that. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually this is going to come out. These things always do. And when it does, Julian will lose two people he loves in one fell swoop. His mother and his best friend. All because I was lonely, because I wanted to feel wanted, because I was selfish. I've thought about ending it again, multiple times. I'll be lying in bed at night, Christopher asleep beside me, and I'll tell myself, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll text Ethan and tell him it's over for real this time. But then tomorrow comes, and Ethan texts me. Or I see him. And all my resolve crumbles, because I'm weak. That's what I've learned about myself through all of this. I'm weak and selfish and not the person I thought I was. I thought I was a good mother, a decent wife, a moral person who knew right from wrong. But I'm not. I'm just a lonely woman who made terrible choices and can't seem to stop making them. You know what the worst part is? Sometimes, and I hate admitting this, sometimes I don't even feel guilty. Sometimes when I'm with Ethan, everything else fades away. The lies, the betrayal, the consequences. It's just us, and it feels right. Those are the moments that scare me the most, because they make me wonder if I'm too far gone. If I've crossed so many lines that I can't find my way back anymore. I look at myself in the mirror, and I don't recognize the woman staring back. She has the same face, the same body, but she's different. She's someone who betrays her family, who lies without flinching, who's willing to risk everything for stolen moments with a man she can never truly have. When did I become her? Christopher asked me last night if I was happy. We were getting ready for bed. He was on his side, I was on mine. And out of nowhere, he just asked, "Are you happy, May?" I froze. What kind of question is that? An honest one. He turned to look at me. Really look at me, maybe for the first time in months. "You don't seem happy. You haven't for a while." "I'm fine." That's not what I asked. We stared at each other across the bed. And for a second, just a second, I thought about telling him, about coming clean, about ending this marriage that's been dead for years and dealing with the consequences, but I didn't. "I'm happy enough," I said instead. He nodded slowly, like he'd expected that answer. Happy enough isn't really happy, is it? Is anyone really happy, Chris? Fair point. He turned back over. "Night, May." Night. And that was it. He didn't push, didn't dig deeper, just accepted my non-answer and went to sleep. And I lay there in the dark, thinking about what he'd asked. Am I happy? I don't know anymore. I don't know what I am. Ethan still comes around like always. Dinners with the family, hanging out with Julian, acting completely normal. He's gotten really good at it. The acting. We'll be sitting at the dinner table, me, Christopher, Julian, and Ethan, and he'll laugh at something Julian says. We'll talk to Christopher about sports. Will thank me for dinner like he's done 1,000 times before, and no one suspects a thing. Sometimes our eyes will meet across the table, just for a second, and there's this whole conversation happening that no one else can see. Later. I know, I miss you. Me too. It's a dangerous game we're playing, getting more dangerous every day, but we keep playing it anyway. I've started thinking about the lesson in all of this, because there has to be one, right? There has to be some point to this pain, and I think it's this. Loneliness can make you do things you never thought you were capable of. I was so starved for attention, for validation, for feeling desired, that I completely lost myself. I threw away my morals, my values, everything I thought I believed in. For what? For feeling alive? For some excitement? Was it worth it? I still don't know the answer to that question. Part of me says no, says that nothing is worth the guilt I carry around every single day. The fear of getting caught, the knowledge that I'm destroying my family from the inside out. But another part of me, the part that remembers how it felt the first time Ethan kissed me, says yes, says that feeling wanted, feeling beautiful, feeling alive, that's worth something, even if it's wrong, even if it's temporary, even if it's going to end in disaster. So where does that leave me? Right here, on this couch, in this house, living this lie. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, don't know how many more close calls we can survive, don't know what happens when, not if, when. This all comes crashing down. All I know is that I crossed a line I can never uncross. I made choices I can never unmake. I hurt people in ways I can never fix, and I have to live with that. Every single day I have to wake up and look at myself in the mirror and face what I've become. Some days I can barely do it, but I do it anyway. Because what choice do I have? I smile at Julian. I play the role of wife with Christopher. I keep up the charade. And late at night, when everyone's asleep and the house is quiet, I let myself feel the weight of it all. The guilt, the shame, the fear, the undeniable fact that I've ruined everything for moments of feeling wanted. I saw Ethan yesterday. We met at a park 2 towns over, neutral ground. We sat on a bench and watched kids playing on the playground. Neither of us said much at first. Finally, he asked me the question I'd been dreading. Do you regret it? Us? I thought about lying, about saying yes, about trying to push him away again, but I'm so tired of lying. I don't know, I said honestly. Some days yes, some days no. Most days, both. He nodded, staring straight ahead. I don't regret it, any of it, even knowing how it might end. How do you think it'll end? Badly. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Really, really badly. Yeah. I felt tears building. Me too. We sat there for a while longer, 2 people who'd gotten themselves into something neither of us knew how to get out of. When we said goodbye, he kissed me, soft and gentle and sad. I love you, he said again, and this time I said it back. I love you too. Because it was true. Somewhere along the way, I'd fallen in love with him. And that made everything so much worse, and that's the story. That's where I am right now. Still in it, still lying, still carrying around this secret that's slowly destroying me. I don't know how it ends, don't know if I'll find the strength to walk away or if we'll keep doing this until we get caught. All I know is that I fucked up. In a life-ruining, no-going-back kind of way. I let loneliness turn me into someone I never thought I'd be. I let the need for validation override everything else that mattered, and now I'm paying the price. The worst part? Sometimes it still feels worth it. Sometimes when I'm with Ethan, I still feel that spark, that aliveness. And I wonder if feeling truly alive for brief moments is better than sleepwalking through the rest of my life. I don't have the answer to that. Maybe there isn't one. All I know is this: be careful what lines you cross, because some of them You can never uncross them. Some choices you can never undo, and you have to live with that weight forever. And that's the story. It wasn't easy to tell, but I want to know what you think. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Have you ever been through anything like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Because honestly, I could use some perspective, some wisdom, some sign that I'm not the only person who's ever lost themselves like this. Or maybe I am. Maybe I'm exactly as bad as I think I am. Either way, the secret's out now. At least here, in this void where nobody knows my real name. And somehow, that makes it just a tiny bit easier to carry.